You know, the world is a crazy place, let me tell you. One day you're hanging out at the beach, and the next day you're on the radio again with your voice and your words and your actions flying all over the face of the earth. Hi, everybody. Tom Trento with the what's the name of the team? Is it the Tom Trento? What's the name of the show?
I thought we were going to do...
What's the name of our show?
What is the name of our show?
We'll get to that in a second. Tom Trento here. I know my name. Tom Trento here. 4 o'clock on the East Coast, a couple minutes after 4, actually, on W.
What is it's one of those stations?
W something or other.
740.
I can't hear you.
WSBR.
SRB?
No.
SBR.
740.
740 Tom.
SBR.
WSBR. Well, like, what is that, Sunny Boca Raton or something?
Precisely.
Yes, precisely.
Oh, Sunny Boca Raton. WSBR 740 AM on your dial, with 17 million watts of electricity going all over the place. Actually, our terrestrial signal, ladies and gentlemen, goes from Miami in the south to West Palm Beach in the north. It covers a significant part of a significant state at a significant time in history, 33 days away from a midterm election. And we are back on the air. Gentlemen, let's give ourselves a round of applause.
Yeah.
And for the folks who made it possible for us to be on the air, let's give them a round of applause.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're back. Okay, that's all the material I have.
That's it,
now
we're
what?
done. Okay.
Now what? We've got to fill the next 55 minutes here, whatever it is.
Yes, we do.
I don't know.
What's the name of our show, Tom?
I don't know if I've ever been at a loss for words. Maybe once in a while. With the Vaughns. When I'm dealing with the Vaughn situation, I'm at a loss for words. The name of our show, I don't know. Any suggestions?
How about Islamophobia today?
Islamophobia today.
Islamophobia
That's good.
today.
No, that's taken, Tom. That's
we
taken.
are the great Islamophobes.
Right.
I think it's taken.
Yeah, it is taken.
It is taken. Okay, that one doesn't work. What else do you have?
What else do you got? You got anything else?
Muslim Brotherhood sucks. How about that?
Yeah. No.
Watch it. You're starting this early, aren't you?
You're just going right for the
No, those are
jugular.
bad guys. Those are bad guys. But we do other stuff.
We
not
do,
just
yeah.
the Islamic issue. People know that. But it's good to be on WSBR. I will get that down. 7:40 a.m. on the dial, a couple of minutes after 4 o'clock on the East Coast. Hello to our friends in California and our friends on the other side of the world. This also is going out over iHeartRadio. In fact, Mark and Damon, what about Abdullah? What happened to him?
Oh, he is here.
Oh, my Lord! If from Allah up above, you are here. I have missed you, Abdullah. It's been many months since we've been together.
Many months I have missed you, Tom. You know, you're my favorite infidel.
Good to have you back.
Whole ISIS is formed and everything while he's
Yeah,
begun.
Yes. That in fact, I after the radio show ended, I did not know what to do it myself. I saw you at the CPAC in March.
I saw you at CPAC
And
in March.
shortly after this, I fly back to Turkey, and I go into Syria, and Iraq, and back and forth, Syria, Iraq, delivering humanitarian aid.
You're not chopping off any heads, are you?
No. I was delivering aid.
Speaking of chopping off heads, our featured guest in a little while is Mr. Robert Spencer. Amazing individual, scholar, dear friend, and expert on all things Islamic. He has busted open a story.
Huge story.
The Oklahoma beheading story. And we're going to get to the bottom of that. It's unbelievable, this dynamic of beheading. How could cast so much fear in the hearts and minds of people worldwide.
Yeah, I got a little tease of that story last night on Megyn Kelly. I mean, it just went into the highlights of it. We're going to go into the depth of it. It's really a fascinating story. Everybody should listen to this.
Yeah, Megyn Kelly did a piece on her Kelly Files, but really it's Robert Spencer's story.
No, it is, yeah.
And he is the expert and the individual on this. So we'll get to him in a little bit. But many of you have been asking, where the heck have you guys been? You know, where is Mark? Where's Damon? Where's CJ? Where's everybody? As you know, and you know, we got to tell the folks, we have two groups of people viewing and listening right now. We have the folks who follow the United West, myself, all of us, and they know quite a bit about where we've been, what we've been doing. But once we go on a new station like this, WSBR 740 AM in South Florida, there's a whole new group of people. They're there going around the radio. They're looking for, you know, Uncle Wally and the hot dog world or whatever used to be in this spot at 4 o'clock. Money matters, you know, let's talk money. And then they got us talking about crazy things. They go, what is this? But we sound interesting enough so that they hang in there. To you folks, I'll give you a quick background. My name is Tom Trento. I direct a counterterrorism educational organization called the United West. Our goal is to unite the Western countries in the world to fight against the isms out there. The issue of communism, that still exists, and it's still very bad. It's coming out of country China that's trying to figure out whether it's a capitalist country or a communist country. It likes communism, but it also likes driving Ferraris. The ism of Islam, not Islamism, but Islam is a serious problem. We fight against those issues. And the leftist issues of the day. We hold a traditional Judeo-Christian worldview, conservative in our viewpoint of life, and conservative in our politics, and we'll get into those details. But as a general overview for our new listeners, that's who I am, that's who our organization is. We have four mission objectives. Very simple. To defend the United States Constitution. Even though we're a relatively young country compared to some of these 3,000 or 2,000-year-old countries, we have a document, the U.S. Constitution, grounded in the philosophy of the Jewish scriptures, the Christian scriptures, the Greco-Roman political documents. Our document, the U.S. Constitution, when followed, and we have an administration that refuses to follow it nowadays, but when followed, that Constitution is a great thing. We defend it. We also defend the state of Israel. We believe the greatest threat to the world. And whenever you use superlatives like that, and you think of, and we're talking about the Middle Eastern problem, we know the China problem is a potentially phenomenally explosive and dangerous problem. But the immediate, not just existential, but real problem coming out of the Middle East, 22, 23 countries surrounding Israel, we think for the United States national security reasons. Hear what I said? For the United States national security reasons. Israel is a significant and necessary national security partner. Make believe for a moment Israel didn't exist. Well, guess what? Your oil, folks, is now $20 a gallon because it's controlled by jihadis. Israel is the bulwark in the Middle East holding back an Islamic onslaught that would launch an apocalyptic capitalistic, apocalyptic economic, apocalyptic political nightmare on the West. We defend Israel, her right to exist, her right to defend herself. That's our second objective. Our third objective is to defeat Islamic jihad. Again, that's the immediate issue that many of us are facing. Very interesting, guys. 2 or 3 years ago, we were seen as the extremists on the conservative side calling out Islamic jihad and, you know, you hate Muslims and all this nonsense. But people thought that we were off base even on seeing rooted in the system of Islam a violent supremacist ideology that seeks to establish a caliphate, kill Jews, kill Christians, and establish world domination. That seemed like Hollywood stuff. But not today. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it's real interesting, Tom. We talked about the Muslim Brotherhood before there was the Muslim Brotherhood. We talked about ISIS before there was ISIS, which is actually, it's not even ISIS. It's Al-Qaeda. It's Al-Qaeda, people. It's Al-Qaeda. Get it straight. It hasn't changed. Al-Qaeda is not on the run. We told you Al-Qaeda is not on the run. It is growing and growing.
Oh, you mean the president's wrong?
Right. Many times. I mean, over and over and over. And we're saying this, years, months, weeks in advance. Everybody
and
keep calling.
We're proven
right
now.
Now, Tom,
it's amazing.
On that note, at the 2012, the third debate right down the street at Lynn University.
We were there.
Where Obama was flouting his everything, his policy in the Middle East, and basically telling Mitt Romney to take his foreign policy back to the 80s. You were there, miles down the road, where Al-Qaeda was on the run. Only if we knew then what we know now, we would have a different man in the Oval Office.
We knew it, though.
If America knew, could be a different presidency. But also could be a different presidency if the stupid Christians, my homies, would get out to vote.
Exactly.
And on this show, we're going to tell you a lot about that. Our fourth objective, number one, defend the Constitution, defend Israel, defeat Islamic jihad. And number four is defeat President Obama. He needs to be defeated because he is a de facto Marxist who enjoys the good life. And these are internal contradictions, but with someone as psychologically impaired as the president is, yes, we've done extensive presentations on the psychological makeup of this president. He is psychologically impaired. He's a narcissist. He is a anti-colonialist. When you put all of this together, he's a dangerous man for the United States of America. We told you years ago he was going to try to decrease and deconstruct the U.S. military. He's done that phenomenally well by introducing social reformation that destroys internal morale. He's done that. He's decimated not Al-Qaeda, but the budget of the U.S. military. He's fired the guys that don't kowtow to his socialistic viewpoints, and he's put puppets in place to articulate an obscene military doctrine only underscored by obscene, immoral, and treasonous rules of engagement where we can't allow warfighters, top-tier warfighters, to kill the enemy, but they got to go win the hearts and minds of people, many of whom have no heart and have no mind. That's what this president is doing on the military side. On the economic side, hey, you're better off now than you were before he was the president. He's decimated this economy, and only because it has some internal mechanisms where there's some self-correcting have we not disintegrated. It's in spite of his policies. He still has 2 years to ruin those internal mechanisms that are the salvation to 237 years of building this sound economy. So we fight against the president's policies. But having said that, he still needs a secret service that can protect him and his family. That's just nonsensical, what's occurring with that whole situation. That's a little bit of what we do. You guys want to weigh in a little bit while I take a sip of water?
Yes. It's what has worked, Tom? I mean, what has he done that it's, because every time he turns around, it's been something that's, oh, I didn't see that coming. Oh, I didn't see that coming. Oh, it has to be the most incompetent presidency ever, or the most whatever you want to call it. I don't care.
Man, he's a golfer.
Every subject matter from, oh, I didn't see Benghazi coming. Oh, I didn't see ISIS coming. Oh, I didn't see the IRS coming. Oh, I didn't see the Secret Service coming.
To answer that, a narcissist, it comes from Greek mythology where I believe it was Narcissus was looking in, getting a drink of water in a little lake, little water area, and he saw a reflection of his face, and he fell in love with himself at his wonderful beauty. And the whole concept of narcissism, self-love, grew out of that. if you love yourself based upon physical, empirical data and not truly understanding what love is and all of that, if it's external, it's extremely difficult to admit wrongdoing because now you've degraded yourself and you don't have the constitution or the will to deal with self-correction or any sort of fault. So and if you're the president of the United States and everybody bows to you and opens the door and does this, it's very easy to say that guy over there screwed up.
Right.
That's how he's built his life. Yes.
What was amazing to me was Sunday on his 60 Minutes interview when claiming not to have known the power of ISIS. And he says they, meaning the intelligence community, underestimated the power of ISIS and overestimated the ability of the Iraqi forces. That is complete hogwash. We have known about the threat of ISIS long before we were off the air. Well, we were still on the air last go around. So for him to throw the intelligence community under the bus for only the second blatant time, like announcing that they tried to save Foley.
Hey guys,
and
you know I'm
failed
incompetent.
attempt.
You know I'm incompetent.
But
Come on, I've been incompetent on every other thing in the world. I've been competent here. Why don't you believe me? I am so incompetent. I can't even roll out a website. I'm so incompetent. I can't even look at a presidential daily brief. In fact, I don't even know why I'm here.
Yeah. So when he killed bin Laden, okay, anything good is him. This is your narcissism. Anything good that is accomplished through his policy is him. Anything bad is they.
Yeah, of course, of course. Well, at 20 minutes after 4 o'clock on today, what is today's date? The 2nd of October, our resurgence back into the radio world. I'll tell you what we've been doing in a bit. Tom Trento here, WSBR 740 AM on your dial. If you're on terrestrial radio that's like in your car. The best way to listen or watch us is to go to iHeartRadio. Download the app iHeartRadio, iHeartRadio.com. In a little search bar, put WSBR, Whiskey,
Sierra.
Let's see if these guys know. WSB, Bravo.
Romeo.
Whiskey Sierra, Bravo Romeo, 740. Put that in there. Put Boca Raton, Florida. It'll come right up. I think it's called Money Talk Radio.
Right.
And money talks on this show. Let me tell you. You know, we are looking for advertisers for our show. And if you're interested, contact us, info@theunitedwest.org, info@theunitedwest.org. And we'll tell you all of the advertising rates to be one of our advertisers, which goes also on our internet stuff around the world. So that could be very helpful to us, as you can imagine, to stay on the air this time forever and ever and ever.
Forever and ever.
We went off the air December 31st. Now, we've been in existence since 2006. We've been doing stuff all over the world. In 2012, we decided to utilize radio, daily radio, to inform people about President Obama's reelection, to not vote for him, and to do the right thing. And we got on the radio. It was going to be a 3-month gig from September to November. And we stayed on for 16 months. We went through the year 2012, through 2013, to the last day on 2013. In fact, do we have about a minute of showing and listening to our last show? We don't have that.
We don't have that. We don't have it.
All right, that's too bad because
there's no audio.
we did something pretty cool on our last show.
What?
We made believe that We made believe that it was.
Hold on, you ready?
Yeah, no, it's okay. We made believe it was just a meeting we were having. We let the viewers and listeners into our meeting. And we kind of explained why we're going off the air, all of that. And basically, we ran out of funding. It's very simple. This type of radio that we're on, we have to buy our own time and then resell the time through advertising to keep doing this. And the beauty of that is we have to follow FCC regulations. That's required. But the opinions expressed on our show are ours alone. Not the producers of the station, not the management of the station, not the advertisers, just ours alone. So we have tremendous freedom to talk positively or negatively about anyone whom we want to speak to or about. We just can't curse with 7 words on the air.
That's it.
And we don't do
Letters,
that
7 letters.
We don't do that anyway. So Tom Trento here, WSBR 740. Quickly, I'll tell you what we've been doing since then. Then we'll get to Robert Spencer and our feature for this program. Once we got off the air in December 31st, 2013, we kind of regrouped and figured we got to go raise some money. We're terrible fundraisers, tremendous counter-terrorism fighters, terrible fundraisers. Hint, hint, for those out there who like our work, you can help us out. Advertise or donate.
But we're too busy chasing down people, you know? It's like, okay, we're stretching whatever.
And we went into that. We recognized the importance of elections, so we started putting together a massive amount of data that will be helpful to understanding why evangelical Christians did not vote in Florida. At least 1 million, possibly 3 million, did not vote in Florida in 2012. Out of 8 million votes cast, President Obama won by 74,000 votes. That's 35,000 people. 1 million Christians didn't show up. So the beginning of this year, we start putting workshops and material together to mobilize Christians to vote. That's the secret to winning conservative elections, number one. We also, in the midst of that, Israel went and decided finally to strike back the Gaza Strip that was firing on a regular basis missiles, thousands of them through the years, into Israel proper, and they launched Operation Protective Shield. Well, we did a special series. I think we did 11 programs on Operation Protective Shield, and we did it in conjunction with Breitbart TV.
It's here nationally, yes.
Yeah, our material was, we produced it. We had contacts in Israel. We produced these 11 unique specials and broadcast them on Breitbart TV. Then from there, in the 9/11 week, we went up to Rabbi John Hausman's synagogue in Stoughton, Massachusetts. We brought together General Jerry Boykin, General Tom McInerney, CIA Station Chief Gary Bernson, and Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, former congressman, my congressman, in an Israel Security Summit. Packed out house, 500 people, unbelievable security summit we had. There's something on your screen right now to take a look at. We will be producing a feature-length documentary on that in the near future, next couple of weeks. You'll be able to see that whole event. And from there, we went down to Washington, D.C. on 9/11. We spoke at on the Mall, one of the highlights of my pretty interesting life, speaking between the Washington Monument and the Capitol to 2 million bikers. There was wasn't 2 million, but there was a good group of wonderful patriots, and we want to be back there with those guys, supporting them every single year. Came back here to start working on mobilizing people to vote intelligently in 2014 and 16. And then out of the clear blue sky, got back on the radio. And now our radio broadcast harmonizes with our Breitbart TV stuff and our other internet work. And we're getting a huge audience out there for important information. One of the most important bits of information right now is this whole Islamic caliphate, jihad, and the methodologies of striking terror in the hearts and minds of infidels. One of those methodologies is to chop somebody's head off. Nothing strikes fear in the hearts of people as much as just chopping somebody's head off does. And the individual that we have right now with us, live and in color. Do we have Robert Spencer? Robert, are you there?
I am here.
All right. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you, sir?
Good, good. Robert's a dear friend. He is an author. I think it's 12 books now, Robert?
Yes, that's 13, actually. 13.
13. When I decided to get seriously involved in studying Islamic jihad, I picked up every book Robert wrote and devoured it, and I think many people who are in this battle can
He's the
say,
brain. He's
yeah,
the brain.
We owe it to his scholarship. You know, it's tough writing one book. It's tough writing an article. let alone 13 books. So he's established himself as an expert, as a scholar, but he's also an activist. He's been very involved with Pamela Geller, a dear friend of ours, with Freedom Defense Initiative. Just today, I saw another press release going out about a battle they're having with some of their signs and cities trying to suppress their free speech. He's involved with Stop the Islamization of America. So we got a great guy today, and he busted open a story, the Oklahoma beheading story. Robert, lay out the groundwork. Let's get the factual story on the record, and let's help folks understand what the heck is going on.
Absolutely, Tom. Well, the Islamic Society of Greater Oklahoma City seems to have been caught out flat-footed by this Jakim Yisrael, formerly Alexander Nolan, who beheaded one woman and tried to behead another before he was stopped. He attended the Islamic Society of Greater Oklahoma City. The Islamic Society originally, right after the beheading, said, oh no, nobody knows him here. The imams never met him, never saw him. But then, unfortunately, the guy's Facebook page was still up, and it's been since pulled. But I was able to get a lot of it, and Pamela Geller also has a lot of it, and it contains a great deal about his interaction at the mosque and how he was at the mosque. His photographs of himself. One of the very interesting photographs shows the beheader, Jakim Yisrael, holding up one finger, the index finger, in the Islamic State symbol. And flanked by two members of the mosque. And so it seems as if he was an open supporter of the Islamic State, and so were people at the mosque, because nobody was batting his hand down or saying, what are you doing putting your index finger up like that? That's the sign of Islamic monotheism, and of course they all adhere to that. Anyway, in the course of all this, a former member of the Islamic Society of Greater Oklahoma City contacted me, and he was a longtime Jihad Watch reader, and he said that he was an ex-Muslim who had actually attended the Islamic Society there in Oklahoma City for several years. It was before Jakim Yisrael joined up. He didn't know him, but he did know the current imam, Imad Inchasi. He knew Suhaib Webb, who is the previous imam and is now the imam at the Islamic Society of Boston, which of course was the mosque frequented by the Tsarnaev brothers. And he knew that when he went there, they taught all kinds of things like, for example, the necessity to replace the U.S. Constitution ultimately with a caliphate, which would indicate that they are in favor of the concept of the caliphate. And they had milestones sold at the bookstore in the mosque. He read milestones, this guy, who was a convert to Islam himself. And milestones, there it is. Milestones by Sayyid Qutb, who was the great Muslim Brotherhood theorist. It's essentially a manual for jihad warfare against non-Muslim states, and a highly subversive document that counsels really endless warfare by Muslims against non-Muslims. And he was shocked when he read this, but it seemed as if everybody there was completely sympathetic to it. They once told him that if Osama bin Laden showed up at the door, this was of course right after 9/11, when he went there, and he was expecting, because after all this guy's an American, that people would have been shocked and horrified and ashamed that this kind of thing had been done by Muslims, and they were not at all any of that. They said if Osama bin Laden showed up at the door, we would help him. He's a Muslim brother. They went target shooting not long after that. A couple of the other converts and him invited him to go target shooting with them. They took AK-47s. This is Oklahoma, of course, and the gentleman is not unfamiliar with guns. He didn't have any problem with the AKs, but when he got there, the targets they were using, they said this one stands for George W. Bush and this one for Ariel Sharon. Wow. And this is, of course, Oklahoma in 2003 or 2 or 3. So the idea of these mosques, or at least this particular mosque, being a place where people are completely loyal, patriotic Americans who have no trouble with constitutional freedoms and principles, it's just fictional. And it's unfortunately the case that these people are taken to be moderates and assumed to be such by law enforcement officials who seem much more concerned with conducting outreach to them than with actually investigating what's going on in these mosques. So that it takes somebody like this man who comes forward to explain what's really going on in these mosques, what our law enforcement officials ought to be monitoring, what they should know about, but which unfortunately they have no idea about.
What's going on? All right, let me. We have two types of viewers. We're on the internet, obviously, with the show, but also through the radio, going worldwide. Two types of folks watching or listening. Some are pretty familiar with our type of work, but there's a whole new group of people starting to listen that are really unaware of Islamic jihad and ISIS and all of this stuff. The first question that some of those folks have is, did you say Oklahoma? There's a mosque in Oklahoma? That doesn't seem to register. How the hell did a mosque get in Oklahoma? Give us a short analysis of how mosques got in Oklahoma, Robert Spencer.
Well, Tom, it's the same all over the country. 80% of the mosques in the country are financed by the North American Islamic Trust, or NATE, which is a Muslim Brotherhood organization with considerable Saudi money. And they have been building mosques all over the country. People might not know, but pretty much every major city and quite a few minor cities have one or more mosques. There are several in Oklahoma City. I interviewed this man at one point the other day, just put up the interview at my website, Jihad Watch, and he says in there that there are several mosques around the area. He's been to all of them. They all teach pretty much the same things, and that's of course to be expected, because with the Saudi funding and the Muslim Brotherhood sponsorship comes the assumption that you're going to toe their line and that you're going to say what they teach. So there's not a whole lot of dissent or difference among the mosques in the United States, since 80% of them are funded by the Saudis, and 80%, coincidentally or not coincidentally, have been found in 4 separate independent studies conducted since 1998. They've been found to actually teach hatred of Jews and Christians, teach the necessity ultimately to replace the Constitution with Islamic law. And yet, mosques are not the subject of surveillance. That would be Islamophobic. Mosques are not kept under any kind of scrutiny at all, any more than a church or synagogue would be. They are instead the subject of a considerable amount of pandering and outreach from our elected officials and law enforcement officials, who assume, or perhaps hope or wish, that they would be completely ordinary houses of worship, just like churches and synagogues, who pretend that there is no political or supremacist agenda involved in Islamic law, that there is no jihad imperative. But this young man, when he converted to Islam in 2001 and attended the Islamic Society of Greater Oklahoma City until 2003, he was taught explicitly by Suhaib Webb himself, this moderate, now in Boston imam, that for the non-Muslims, there was only conversion or subjugation under Islamic law or death. And that was ultimately the job of Muslims around the world, to fight them until they were given those 3 choices.
Robert, this is really amazing stuff. At 37 minutes after 4 o'clock on the East Coast on October 2nd, Tom Trento here with Robert Spencer, author of 13 books, many of them in the area of Islamic issues, religious issues. Also the director of Jihad Watch, jihadwatch.org. It's a daily blog he's been doing since 2002 or 2003, many, many years. And immediately we're discussing the recent beheading at the Vaughn food processing plant in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, where a Muslim convert went in and cut the head off of Colleen Hooford, I believe her name was, a 54-year-old grandmother, and the ramifications of that. And before we get into those specifics, Robert, because he has one of the world-class blogs on the issue, a Muslim was following this, and I'm wondering if this Noor fellow is still claims to be in the Muslim world. This Noor fellow that appeared on the Kelly File recently, and that Robert interviewed. Robert, you said your interview of that individual's up on your website, jihadwatch.org now?
Yes, that's right, Tom. And I should tell you that he did leave Islam when he left the Islamic Society. He's no longer a Muslim. He grew disenchanted with the kinds of things he was being taught there, realized that it was not some sort of extremist or hijacked Islam that he was being taught, but it was just plain Quranic Islam, the Islam of Muhammad, and he didn't want it. So he left Islam. He still lives very nearby the Islamic Society of Greater Oklahoma City, and that's why we had his face obscured and voice altered on the video, as I believe Megyn Kelly did as well, because, of course, as someone who's left Islam, he's subject to Muhammad's words, if anybody changes his religion, kill him, the Islamic death penalty for anybody who leaves the faith, and so we had to take measures to protect him.
Wow, so for everyone listening and watching, this individual that approached Robert Spencer first through Jihad Watch and then subsequently wound up on Megyn Kelly's Fox show, and I'm sure, you know, well, I'm not sure, Robert. You would think the news, the mainstream media would want to talk to this guy, but they probably want nothing to do with someone who can expose and reveal the Islamic Jihad within these mosques. Help our viewers and listeners understand, Robert, the difference between a mosque, particularly a mosque built by the Saudis with a Wahhabist ideology, how it's unique and distinct from a synagogue or a church in terms of its function and purpose.
Well, the thing is that a mosque is a base of operations. Base in Arabic is qaida, as in al-Qaeda. And what a lot of people don't realize is that, for example, in the Muslim Brotherhood's secret document that detailed its goals and its methodology for conquering the United States, which was a document that was never intended to be released but was captured during a raid on the jihad charity, the Holy Land Foundation, in 2007 and subsequently released during the trial. The Muslim Brotherhood sets out how it's going to conquer the United States, and it says that it's going in the first place to establish Islamic centers all around the country. Now you'll notice that a great many mosques in the United States are not called the such and such mosque. They're called the Islamic Center or the Islamic Society. And the thing about the name here is that people think that's completely innocuous, that it means it's like a convention center or a center where people gather, a society like the I don't know, the Humane Society or something, and that's all there is to it. But actually, these words mean something quite different in an Islamic context. An Islamic center or Islamic society, as is delineated in this captured internal document of the Muslim Brotherhood, is the center as in base of operations. It is the center from which the Muslims go out to conquer and Islamize the surrounding area. And this was a specific goal of this document. It said, and I quote, the Muslim brothers must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers, so that it falls and Allah's religion is victorious over other religions. Now note that it said by their hands. What they mean by that is they're going to conquer the West by the hands of Westerners. They're going to make us work against ourselves. And one of the ways they do this is by presenting these seemingly innocuous Islamic societies and Islamic centers that actually are anything but innocuous and are actually actively teaching, as our convert to Islam and then convert from Islam found out in Oklahoma City, actively teaching subversion, hatred of Jews and Christians, and the necessity to overthrow ultimately or simply to work for the collapse of the American system so that it can be replaced by an Islamic one.
And this is not just an isolated incident, is it, Robert? I mean, this person was trained by the imam from the Boston Mosque, and Abdul Rahman al-Amoudi was the person who set up that Boston Mosque, and Abdul Rahman al-Amoudi was the person who is serving 23 years in federal prison now.
We want to make that connection. Show the viewers.
This is not an isolated thing, right?
No, show the viewers and the listeners the relationship between Oklahoma City and the Islamic Center of Boston, and how there's this insidious plan being worked out. And when you read the document you just referred to, the Muslim Brotherhood's plan, you go, this isn't by default, this is by design. But before we get to that connection, which we want to make, for our viewers and listeners, because we have found, Robert, I'm sure you have too, over the past year or so, particularly the past 6 months, in particular when the 2 unfortunate Americans got beheaded by the British executioner, that the average American now is waking up and going, what is this? What are people getting beheaded? What is that all about? So this is a wonderful teaching moment. Let me ask you specifically now, when the incident at the Vaughan food processing plant occurred and the woman was attacked from behind and beheaded, the story that we're getting, and maybe you know a little more, was that this guy was fired from his job, unhappy, and this had nothing to do with Islam, nothing to do with terrorism. He just came in and he was just going to kill. The only weapon he had was a knife. He was going to kill whoever he could, as many people, because he was unhappy with getting fired from work. Can you help us understand that story?
Absolutely. That is definitely the story that the mainstream media is pushing. They're playing up the fact that he has a Christian-themed tattoo that says something about Jesus Christ. I forget what, but it's not important because obviously if he converts to Islam after that, he can't scrape the thing off his body. It's there. But it's clear from the Facebook page that he was a professing Muslim, that he was a believing Muslim, and that he had clear sympathy for the Islamic State, as I explained before. He had beheading videos. He had Osama bin Laden photos. He had Taliban photos on that Facebook page. And so this is somebody who admired people who were beheading. He admired beheading. Beheading is taught in the Quran. When you meet the unbelievers, strike at their necks. And this is something that he decided to act upon. The thing is that people have been, law enforcement and the media have been presenting the workplace violence aspect of this as if it's mutually exclusive with the Islamic aspect. As in, he's a disgruntled employee. He was just suspended. He wasn't actually fired. He was suspended. That came out later. It was originally reported that he was fired. And he's in a rage. He goes crazy and starts stabbing people and beheading. Now, certainly it's happened before that people have been fired and react violently. But the particular beheading aspect of this is particularly Islamic. That he chose to behead when he's in this situation indicates that he had breathed deeply of the Islamic milieu. He was somebody who thought in those terms. And he thought that the unbelievers, having insulted him, humiliated him perhaps in this way, that the proper way to respond to the unbelievers was the way the Quran says. When you meet the unbelievers, strike at their necks. And that's what he did.
Okay, so that's very, very important, folks. When you get this, deconstruction by the Obama administration, by law enforcement, that there's this bifurcation between a violent act and terrorism, Robert Spencer, one of the country's preeminent experts in this subject matter, has said, no, 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 no. A proper analysis, in fact, a forensic analysis, ought to be, true to the academics, ought to be considering all the elements, his Facebook page, his words, his attitude, his behavior, his photos, and you can integrate a violent act at work in the context of his ideology, Islamic jihad. That makes all the sense in the world, but it doesn't fit the narrative of the Obama administration, who's trying to pull counterterrorism analysis out because they got 6 members of the Muslim Brotherhood advising him. Robert, make for us now the connection between isolated Islamic Society of Oklahoma City and the Islamic Society of Boston. What's that connection there?
Thanks, Tom. I'm glad you came back to that because it's very important. The Imam Suhaib Webb is a reasonably well-known imam in the United States. He speaks frequently around at the Council on American Islamic Relations events, and other Muslim groups have him speak. He's popular. He is a white convert to Islam, somebody who is somebody that Muslim groups choose. They often try to highlight white converts like Ibrahim Hooper to show the universal appeal of Islam, and that it's not just something that is confined to one racial or ethnic group. In any case, Suhaib Webb is from Oklahoma, and he was the imam of the Islamic Society of Greater Oklahoma City, and now he is actually at the Islamic Society of Boston. And, you know, it was mentioned before that there was Abdurrahman al-Amoudi, the founder of the Islamic Society of Boston. It has to be said that he's in prison for 23 years for financing al-Qaeda. That's what he's in prison for. And he is the founder of the Islamic Society of Boston. And it wasn't just the Tsarnaev brothers who went there. It was also Afia Siddiqui, who's doing 86 years for trying to murder American soldiers in jihad attacks. Tariq Mahana went there, who is doing 17 years for aiding al-Qaeda. And Ahmed Abu Samra went there, who is now the communications director for the Islamic State. And so this is supposed to be a moderate mosque. It is frequently written up in glowing terms in the Boston Globe, particularly by a spectacularly compromised reporter, Lisa Wangsness, there. And the thing is that anybody who looks at this mosque and they see Tariq Mahana went there, the Tsarnaev brothers went there, Ahmed Abu Samra went there, Afia Siddiqui went there, they got to be suspicious. But the FBI never investigated the Islamic Society of Boston, ever.
Did Al-Awlaki go there too?
Anything but outreach.
Did Al-Awlaki go there too? Wasn't Robert?
Al-Awlaki, I don't remember if he was the imam there. I don't believe so. I know he was the imam at the Dar al-Hijra Mosque in Falls Church,
That's
Virginia,
what I'm thinking of. Okay.
which was recently commended by the Virginia legislature for all its good work.
Exactly.
It's
yeah.
hilarious.
All right, so we have this connection through Suhab Webb, and he's a very charismatic individual. He's got a big bump on his forehead. What is that all about?
That's a zabiba, and that comes from banging your head on the ground 5 times a day. Actually, more than
Very
5 times
hard.
a day.
Good
because
practice.
Headbangers.
We should all do that.
It's a
You know? We should all
headbanger,
have big callous bumps on our head.
You prostrations more than once during each set of the 5 prayers. But the thing is, that's a mark of pride. It shows how devout a Muslim you are, that you're so often in prayer that this callus develops on your forehead.
You know what? Call me silly, but I've noticed a pattern. Is when I see those big Zabita bumps on someone's head, I like
bad guys.
Chances
maybe,
are, chances are you're a redneck type of thing.
Yeah, they're
Chances are you're a terrorist.
yeah.
It's interesting to note that Jakim Yisrael, the Oklahoma beheader, I noticed it for the first time in his booking photo, which was just released, that he has a real good zabiba himself, which indicates that even if he has not been in Islam very long, he's been going at it. He's very serious and devout about it.
Wow. All right, well, here's what we have to do now. At 51 minutes after 4 o'clock on October 2nd on the East Coast, broadcasting out of WSBR, 740 AM, Boca Raton, Florida. But on the internet worldwide on iHeartRadio, our special guest today is Mr. Robert Spencer, author of 17 million books and more to come, expert on Islamic issues, the theology, the philosophy, and in the middle of this very critically important story coming out of Oklahoma City. Robert, we got about a minute left with you. Where's this story going? And we will follow up with you on it, but where's it headed?
Tom, you know, the main thing that ought to happen now is that in the wake of the revelations from this ex-Muslim, ex-member of this mosque, and the beheading there and so on, and the connections with Boston and everything else, there ought to be an investigation of this mosque. But
You think? Duh.
Yeah.
That would be Islamophobic.
Robert, I don't know if you met Imam Abdullah. Say hello to Mr. Spencer.
Asamach aleichem, you big Islamophobe.
Wa alaikum, how you doing?
How are you, Imam?
My head hurts from listening to the two of you bash my people.
Okay.
That comes from the prostrations, my friend.
That's from the frustration.
I'll tell you that Suhaib Webb is doing good for a convert.
Yes.
And he's the Zabiba bump.
We ought to have
nice
you
Zabiba
and
bump,
Spencer go at it someday. We'll do that. But you mind your business.
I heard he's coming to Florida in November.
Oh yeah, with his other buddy down, his other care, and of course Robert Care is a really great group and everything.
Yeah. With the Restoration Weekend, I think it is.
Oh yeah.
But in any event, you got to go to jihadwatch.org, jihadwatch.org.
Real quick question. Yeah, Robert. I noticed on the Kelly Fowl thing last night that CARE is really running the forefront of this mosque now as far as like handling the media communication. Is that true? Have you found that out to be true?
I haven't heard that, but I wouldn't be in the least surprised. That's what they do. They try to obscure any Islamic connection to any violence and keep Americans ignorant and complacent. So I wouldn't be in the least surprised.
Well, the imam of that mosque has received numerous awards and been a featured speaker at CARE events in the past. So, and Shazi, I believe his name is.
Yeah, Imam and Shazi. Yeah.
And CARE are like pigs in a blanket.
Oh, yes.
All right, we want to pursue this.
Shazi and Suhaib Webb are thick with CARE.
Robert, we want to pursue this this story, and any other stuff you got going on, you let us know. We'll get you on the air. Let me give you like 30 seconds to share whatever you want to as we let you go.
Oh, well, okay. The website is Jihad Watch. That's at www.jihadwatch.org, updated many times daily with news and commentary about global jihad activity in the United States and around the world. Violent and stealthy. And there you can also find links to the 13 books written by me. And they're available at any self-respecting bookstore as well as at Amazon.com and at the website jihadwatch.org.
Yeah! All right. That's a good one.
And if they want to donate, they could do that too there.
Yes, absolutely. Gratefully accepted. And Jihad Watch is a 501c3 organization.
All right. Well, Mr. Robert Spencer, Godspeed. And
great work, Robert. Great work, buddy.
Take it easy. Keep up the good work. All right, folks. 55 minutes. We got about a minute or two left here. In our first day back on the air, you know, this is like riding a bicycle.
It is. We need another hour, Tom.
I know.
I mean, we got the whole Milestones book to talk about.
The Beasley guys are going. The Beasley guys are going. Yeah, another hour. Another hour. Well, we'll see. We are looking for advertisers. You want to get down with us on this show? We'll sell you some advertising, help support the work.
And we didn't even bring up our favorite girl today.
No, who? Oh, Debbie. Yikes. What the heck is that? Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Yes, we have. Here's what we're going to do with our show, folks. As I said, there's 4 components of our work. Defend the Constitution, defend Israel, defeat Obama, defeat Islamic jihad. We do a lot of local stuff also. We have significant races 33 days from today, one of which is for the governor. We have Rick Scott, the Republican, running. And we have Charlie Crist, I don't know, running. I'm a Republican. I'm an independent. I'm a Democrat. I'm whatever.
I'm for marijuana. Woo!
Whatever is needed, he wants to run. We have the Charlie Crist race. So we're gonna expose this Charlie and Barack and Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who was just up on the screen. She is in a significant race against a good friend of ours, Joe Kaufman.
Right.
And Debbie is wrong on so many issues, and Joe on national security is amazing and on other issues. So we're going to bring you exposés on these folks, and we'll let you make up your own mind who to vote for. But at the end of the day, when we explain a particular viewpoint, I think you'll see that a conservative approach, particularly the state of Florida, makes more sense than anything else. So we're going to be getting into some of that material. We're going to be dealing with the IRS situation, totally out of control organization, and so invasive in everyone's life. In fact, there's a new movie on October 14th. It'll be shown at theaters all over America. You can go to unfairthemovie.com, Unfair the Movie, documentary featuring Governor Mike Huckabee, an expose on the IRS. And looks like we may be taking a trip to Israel in November. We're certainly going on a tour in March of 2015. I may be jumping over there for a week or so in November. We're going to bring that to you. Also going down to the border, looks like maybe in December, to the Texas area, bring you some information back from there. We're going on the street. We're going to have some man on the street interviews. We got a whole bunch of stuff in store for you. 4 o'clock every day, WSBR 740 AM, iHeartRadio, theunitedwest.org. What does that mean?
You got 2 minutes.
You're doing this stuff to me like we're playing. What was that?
No.
You were the one that said you thought you were down to a minute before.
You
You tricked us.
No, I'm looking at that clock right there. It's 58. We
And I got 54.
We're so screwed up on time.
That's right.
Okay,
You got
let
2
me think
minutes.
of
You got 2 more minutes.
Let me
You got
think
2
We
more
have
minutes.
plenty of things to speak of.
What do I have on my notes? What do I have on my notes?
Hey, it's our first day back. It's our first day back.
Yeah, first day back.
So we can't tell time.
I am 25 pounds lighter. Than
You are.
last
You
summer.
are.
Yeah. I'm going with that. No, I'm getting healthier. Now we need you guys over there to get healthier.
Yes.
Everybody's asking, where's CJ? Where's CJ? She's right.
She's right there. Yeah,
Where is she? Where's
She really lost a lot of weight.
She's invisible. Cheryl Joy, our beloved CJ, is no longer with us.
She didn't die,
No.
did she?
No. Okay.
No, she's with us. She's just not on the show.
Oh, is she on maternity leave?
No.
She don't know.
She has gone to greener pastures where you can actually make
She actually-
money.
she
Are
actually-
you
got a
calling
job?
her a cow?
You can actually make money doing something. She's helping out friends, family, and doing very, very good work. We will have her on as a guest.
She's a
every once in a while.
mensch.
We'll have her on as a guest every once in a while.
Right.
So she's alive and well, doing great. We love our CJ, miss our CJ. And what do we got tomorrow? Tomorrow, it looks like we're going to have Frank Gaffney, and we're trying to get Kellyanne Conway, who
this will be
has
fascinating.
done an amazing polling showing that national security, which 6 months ago was down here.
Oh,
in
nobody
everybody's
cares
mind,
about that.
is now up here in everybody's mind. We are in the right time, right place for you advertisers and donors. Understand that?
Yeah, when you start chopping off people's heads, that tends to push
their
it.
attention. But everybody, thank you for making our show a super success today, as it always is, and every day. We'll see you tomorrow, 4 o'clock East Coast time, WSBR, sunny Boca Raton. We got to come up with a better name than that. WSBR 740, Tom Trento, Damon Mark, saying goodbye. Take it easy, everybody. Some music taking us out.
La da la.
We got
I can't sing.
Okay, we're out of here.